Welcome back to the Daily Dollar. This is episode 24. I'm your host, Cait McCready, here with...
Art Morrison III.
And today...
You know my basketball number was 24? That means it's going to be a good episode. It's my favorite number.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Shout out to Kobe Bryant, the late
Ooh,
great.
that makes this topic even better.
Yeah.
We are talking about focus and sacrifice.
Oh, perfect. Mamba Mentality.
Mamba Mentality.
Yeah, write
this
that
wasn't
down
even
in your
planned.
notes. It was not planned.
Wow,
Episode
this is
24, Focus and Sacrifice.
All right.
What did you mean by that when you wrote that topic down?
Well,
I mean, it goes without saying, but which...
Yeah, so what I meant by that, okay, I'll go into the story. It's really just our story of how we got in and what propelled us to be where we are now and where we're going.
So you're saying focus and sacrifice is what's to blame for our success?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
But the reason that made me think of it is just because, like, we have had to focus in a way that we've never had to focus before, aside from maybe sports. And we've definitely had to sacrifice more than we've ever had to sacrifice before.
Yeah.
And I think that those are major things, and they're things that...
I mean, that was our investment, right? Because we didn't have money to invest.
Right. So that was... So
Our credit
what I
was
was
shot.
saying is those are things that don't require knowledge, if that makes sense.
Don't require anything except will. The will
Right.
to be those two. Or
Exactly.
do those two, yeah.
You can't teach those things. It has to be within you and something that you're willing to do.
The intangible of real estate, the Mamba Mentality.
What is the Mamba Mentality for people who don't know who Kobe Bryant is?
The Mamba Mentality is coined to Kobe Bryant. His nickname in basketball was the Black Mamba because it's like one of the deadliest snakes or whatever. And when they strike, it's over, you know. So they kind of, I don't know, like Nike and Kobe kind of coined that Black Mamba Mentality kind of thing because Kobe Bryant has this spectacular and special mentality where he just really locks in. He's willing to outwork everyone. He pays attention to the detail, similar to the Black Mamba snake, that, you know, the way that they strike, it's almost always deadly.
Right.
Right? Like that's the whole snake reference or whatever. So, yeah, that's the Mamba Mentality. So when we talk about focus and sacrifice, something that Kobe Bryant's something like Kobe Bryant is really known for.
Yeah.
Mamba Mentality.
So do you have like specific sacrifices that you can think of off the top of your head that would, I guess, attribute to what you've been able to achieve?
In real estate or in general?
In real estate, because
Yeah.
in general we could talk about sports,
Go on and on
college,
all day,
and all
yeah.
that,
Nah,
but-
so real estate wise, I mean, we definitely sacrificed comfort. Number one. So we were willing to live in a friend's basement rather than pay rent somewhere.
Yeah.
Because we know we were paying rent there, but
Yeah.
we lower rent because we know what rent really is, right? Like it's like throwing money away. You never really get equity or ownership in the property. So if we can save somewhere and be uncomfortable for the sake of being able to buy our own house with, the mortgage is often lower than rent.
Yeah.
Well, like most of the time. So we knew that. So we said, okay, if we can pay this low rent by living in somebody's basement, stack our bread up, strategize, learn, and find the perfect multifamily that we can house hack, live on one side, rent the other side.
Yeah.
Then like we had a goal and we sacrificed our comfort. We could have just as easily said, okay, we're not living in a basement.
Yeah.
We gonna find at least a cheap apartment that might be 2 times the cost of a basement, but we gonna be comfortable. Screw that, right? Like so, we definitely sacrificed comfort. We definitely sacrificed. What would you say? Help me.
So I can speak from my personal experience. I sacrificed a very good job that was essentially a one-way ticket to being an executive in a very strong corporate company.
Yeah.
So I sacrificed that, not only that job, and what it could have led to, but the consistency of the income. I was paid weekly on that job, and I had a good salary from right out of college.
Well, even thinking the opposite, you sacrificed your happiness because you stayed on that job long enough to get approved for a loan for a 2-family.
Yeah.
You wanted to leave, but you stayed on like 5 or 6 months longer just to close, to finish that transaction, because obviously you can't quit your job in the middle of a transaction.
Yeah.
Which is another form of sacrifice. We definitely sacrifice our sanity and happiness for sure.
Yeah.
Even just when you talk about nights weekends, going out, traveling with friends. You know, we were putting every dollar into growing our business,
Yeah.
into learning, into entrepreneurship, putting all of our time into it as well. So definitely like the obvious time, energy, and money
Yeah.
were major sacrifices, I would say.
So would you recommend that others do the same? I know that the way that we jumped in was pretty extreme. We quit our jobs, we bought a house.
It's not extreme for most people. It was only extreme for us.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because I, at the time, was a 28-year-old man. You were 24, 25. Your parents helped you get that job, so they weren't too, happy about you wanting to leave the job and become an entrepreneur. So they weren't 1,000% supportive like other people's parents are. Both of our parents all lived out of state or out of the area that we needed to live, or didn't have the means for us to like live at home. That's not the case for most people. I know people now who are 30 like me who still have the option, or even still live at home because their parents have a big enough house or whatever the case, right? We did not have that luxury. And there were several other luxuries that we didn't have that a lot of people do have. So I 1,000% recommend to everyone to make those sacrifices while you're young. We have a client now who's my good friend, obviously. I'm not going to put too much of his business out there, but he has a business. He's an entrepreneur. He's trying to get it off the ground. He's been going hard at it for 4 or 5 years. But he lives at home right now because he spends a lot of his time in Europe because that's what his job requires. So his parents allow him to stay at home. Through us, he learned the power of real estate, and he's being intentional, and his parents are going to support him, whether it be through helping him get approved for a higher loan by signing with him, or even financially, you're allowed to accept a gift from a family member in order to pay your down payment when you use an FHA loan. So there's people with parents who are willing to do that. We have people who were not or are not into real estate, but their parents or family helped them get into their first home. That's most people. Not to say our parents and family and all that like aren't supportive.
Yeah.
It's just a different time and different circumstances. There's a lot of people who's are in the time of their life and have different circumstances where they have a strong support system, stronger safety nets. Like mine had been exhausted. I was 28. Yours were still like kind of there. You're young, but like I said, like you're in a whole different time zone. Than your parents, So I recommend anyone, especially people younger, make the sacrifice.
And
when you don't have kids too, make the sacrifice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is it doesn't have to be like major sacrifices. We have a lot of people who hit us up and are like, how do I get started? We always say, or we always talk about house hacking, right? It's such an easy way to get started, and it's such a conservative way to get into real estate, right? That first house hack that you do, whether it's like a 2-4 unit, you can hold on to that forever, and maybe that's the only apartment building you ever own, but you're collecting rent from that forever. You pass that down forever. And we have a lot of people that we work with that we mention that to. They say, yes, I absolutely would love to do that. We find them properties, whether it's on or off market, and their first instinct is to be like, well, I don't really like that street, or this, they don't have driveways here, or, and it's like,
not understanding the value.
Exactly. Not understanding the value, and not understanding that the minimum that you have to live there is for a year. But you'll have that house forever.
Yeah.
You'll collect that rent forever.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the wrong things. This is not going to be your dream home. It's your first investment property. So a small sacrifice like that goes a long way, and that's something that we try to get through to people that we work with constantly.
Yeah,
and that's just again,
that's
small.
the prime like sacrifices. Like, bro, just get your hands on a house. But the crazy thing is, again, that's the other thing I didn't mention. We were financially strapped. We did not really have the capital to invest like we wanted to. I had entrepreneur income, filing, showing the least amount of money as possible on my taxes. So on paper, it was like I make 15 grand a year.
Yeah.
You had an entry level job, so you only got pre-approved for $230,000. We had to figure out how to get a 2-family for $230,000. That's not the average person's journey. The average person might be a couple who's making, even if it's 75 grand each a year, right? You're getting pre-approved for a way different amount than like what you and I would be pre-approved for.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, you can buy a $400,000 house for $14,000 down. 3.5% is $14,000, which is crazy because that 400,000 in Jersey is like kind of mid-level, but that can get you a 2-family in Jersey. But in most states, wherever you're listening to this, that's like a 4-family, sometimes a 6-unit. Well, it's only 1 to 4 units you could buy with FHA, but you can get a nice 4-family, and like especially some of the southern states, Midwest, wherever you guys might be listening, 400,000 gets you a lot of property for only $14,000 down.
Yeah.
So you might have to live in an area that's not like, not even necessarily bad areas, anything like that. It's going to be rent-friendly areas. So people who rent typically have a lower income. So it's a certain kind of area, less affluent. So you might have to do that for a year. But like again, after that, now you have a rental property that's, like you said, bringing in cash flow, bringing in, appreciating every year.
Yeah.
It's definitely a solid investment. It's very similar to like stocks and all that, but it's tangible.
It's so secure.
It's so secure. It's so tangible. It's a real thing. It's definitely 100% worth the sacrifice. Let's talk about focus a little bit. We have focus in the Mamba Mentality title.
Right.
What were you?
So when I think of focus, and I put them down together because I think they do go together, it's just really honing in on what your goal is, right? Like really focusing on what it is that you want to accomplish, whether it's an end goal or like a lane that you want to go through. So whether it's, I only want to flip houses, or I only want to own multifamilies, whatever that is, if you focus on that and you go hard on that, you're going to eventually be the expert on that.
Yeah, even if you do one a year.
Right.
That's the crazy thing too, is like we're aggressively doing it. This is our livelihood. So we're doing 4 or 5 properties a year. But, an average person with a full-blown full-time job and a family easily can flip a house a year, take the profits from that, and buy a multifamily every year. That's just what we're doing. The same way we go on vacation every year, we go to Disney World every year, whatever. Every year we could flip one house and then roll those profits into a multifamily every single year.
Stress-free investing.
Stress-free investing. I mean, even we just had a meeting like, oh, we don't got to flip this many houses, man. Let's really just focus on doors, and let's, we're always trying to tweak and find a way to like not be stressed. So like, I don't want everyone to listen to this episode and think like, well, I have a job, so I can't have a Mamba mentality about real estate. No, you can. It's just about determining what your goal is and what your strategy is. What are you going to use to reach that goal? And then again, like you said, locking in, focusing in on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mamba Mentality, episode 24.
That lined up so perfectly. It's like fate. Yeah.
Do the outro for me.
Another day, another dollar. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. That is episode 24 of the Daily Dollar. You can also find us at unitedhomerelief.com, where we have our real estate roadmap, where we go through in a complete...
Jeez.
I was going to say go through a complete deal. You've been taking it for the last week. We go through contract to close, teach you how to do... I don't know, wholesaling, house flipping, the BRRRR strategy. We give you PDF templates, in the field videos. Why are you smiling?
Because you're like reading the whole sales page. Like, just tell them you can go.
I'm not reading anything.
It sounds like you are. Let's go. Real Estate Roadmap, online course, taught by me and Cait at unitedhomerelief.com. What else do you want them to do?
I want them to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast.
Where can they find it?
YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Anywhere you get our podcasts. He just hit me.
All right.
That's it. Yep. I'm Cait McCready.
Cool, guys. Art Morrison III here. Thanks for listening.
Signing off.
Peace.
Peace.